Ethical Union. Aha, good. Here we go. Okie dokies. That's knocked me out. But Louise, you are an American Ethical Union leader in training. I believe you have a position at St. Louis and at Westchester Community Ethical Societies. You are leading some great programs through the AAU on webs and Zoom meetings, and it's a joy to have you here today. Thank you so much. Over to you, Deb.
Thank you so much. Let me pull up my presentation. I'm so happy to be with you all this morning. Today, we're going to talk about our values. I'm going to center a little bit on kindness. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak today. I've really enjoyed my time with your congregation so far. Beautiful music, lovely words and quotes. And I'm just really happy to be here. So as ethical humanists, we strive to live our values. We're committed to ethical action and relationship building. So this morning, I would like to explore those values and the challenges of living up to them. And as you heard earlier, I mean, every good quote bears repeating. We see here Kurt Vonnegut from the Sirens of Titan. As you may know, I am the social media manager at the Ethical Society of St. Louis. I have been for almost 5 years now. And when I first found the listing for the social media manager position on LinkedIn, I got really excited. I knew that if the society was truly ethical and I was the right person for the job, I would be hired and I would succeed in spreading awareness about a movement I really cherish, ethical culture. Well, I was hired, so the hiring process was obviously ethical. And it's no surprise that I feel right at home at the Ethical Society. I am a humanist. And to me, this means I'm devoted to behaving in a way that elicits the best in others and thereby myself. And I believe all human beings have worth. I was introduced to the goals and the core values of humanism by those who have lived and are living its principles, and first and foremost by the author Kurt Vonnegut. And he wrote in his book, The Sirens of Titan, a purpose of human life, no matter who is controlling it, is to love whoever is around to be loved. And when I'm at any ethical society, whether physically or virtually, this is typically very easy to do. Because for the most part, we all share a similar set of values, and we especially embrace kindness. I noticed that the guiding principles here at the Brooklyn Society for Ethical Culture and the SEEK core values at the Ethical Society of St. Louis are very similar. The core values in St. Louis are: every person is important and unique. Every person deserves to be treated fairly and kindly. I can learn from everyone. I am a part of this earth. I cherish it and all the life upon it. I learn from the world around me by using my senses, mind, and feelings. I am a member of the world community, which depends on the cooperation of all people for peace and justice. I can learn from the past to build for the future. I am free to question. I am free to choose what I believe. I accept responsibility for my choices and actions. And my favorite one, I strive to live my values. I appreciate all these core values and your guiding principles. And I especially, like I said, I especially like that last line, I strive to live my values. It speaks to the reality that we are human and fallible. The best we can do is strive, and we will fall short, so we need to be prepared for that. This perspective brings to mind the Humanist Manifesto. It's the title of 3 manifestos, and they lay out a humanist worldview. They were written by humanists and other philosophers. One was drafted in 1933, the second was drafted in 1973, and then a third in 2003. There are 3 of them because humanists understand the need to update and revise guiding documents. The ideas in the Humanist Manifesto encompass our core values, but the manifesto is very different from religious scriptures. The authors recognize that the passages are written by human beings. We're not perfect, and the documents may need to change over time. Even the St. Louis Society's Sikh core values have been modified. Ethics is my religion once topped our list. But some members didn't feel comfortable with the word religion. And while ethical humanism is my religion, I can understand how some may feel alienated by that word. Humanism is flexible that way. We're a bunch of people doing our best to figure out the big picture of life. We are free to choose what humanism means to us. Unlike traditional religious congregations, which come together to follow a scripture or the wisdom of a great religious teacher, ethical societies are guided by the best in human thinking in the areas of ethics, science, and well-being. Humanism is the collective name for all that human wisdom, which we use to transform ourselves and our world. Because of this, we as ethical culturists value science. Evolution is our creation story, and we understand the importance of therapy. We also focus on the person and relationship building. Our ceremonies are focused on the people who are actually involved. For example, when leaders officiate weddings, they center the people getting married and their relationships. Our memorials are about honoring the people who have died, remembering their legacies and celebrating their humanness. I have been present at humanist baby naming ceremonies, coming of age platforms, weddings, and memorials. And I can say with confidence that we absolutely prioritize people during these important parts of our lives. This focus on being human together is impossible when we rely solely on ceremony. It just is. Because of our willingness to reinvent what these events look like, many have remarked how lovely our services and ceremonies are and how refreshing it is to recognize these milestones in our lives without reciting dogma or referencing the supernatural. This approach facilitates a much richer and more meaningful experience that even those of faith have expressed an appreciation for. We don't teach the existence of heaven or hell. We proceed on the presumption that this is the only life we have. Of course, our members are free to believe whatever they like, but we really don't discuss the afterlife or what happens to you when you die, not even at our memorials. We are more concerned with cultivating meaning during this life. Felix Adler himself stated, "Ethical culture is religious to those who are religiously minded and merely ethical to those who are not so minded." And this would be a revolutionary notion at any other church. And our congregations seem very different from faith communities. But I think we are similar to other religions because we have a congregational focus. We actually do promote a set of values, and we help people move through life while cultivating meaning and happiness. Like all religions, we have a perspective of how life should be lived, and we try to promote that perspective. But unlike some other religions, we don't necessarily believe there is only one right way to live. We are a non-theistic movement. We are not scriptural. We are naturalistic in our approach, and we look to human beings and not to any gods for guidance. We don't believe in supernatural deities, so we must put our faith in ourselves and others. Because our communities are not concentrating on reciting proverbs or exalting some deity's name in prayer, we are fertile grounds for honest conversations, meaning making, and relationship building. I know, I am a humanist cheerleader, and I can often make our movement sound utopian, and it's not. There is progress to be made in the areas of diversity, ethical action, and even unity. Also, even though our core values may seem basic at a glance, they're actually lofty, and some of them, if not all of them, can be challenging at times. One of our core values in St. Louis is that we can learn from everyone. Well, that seems to be a big challenge in these divisive times. How can we learn from people who seem antithetical to our values, from those who want to deny us our human rights? Another of our core values is every person deserves to be treated fairly and kindly, but not everyone is fair and kind to us or to the people that we love. How can we be kind to those who are cruel? How can we be kind to those who make us angry? Many people, from average, everyday people to elected officials, make me question my kindness, and I see others questioning their kindness too. So here's a screenshot of a recent exchange with my sister, my younger sister, and my best friend, Jenny. She asked me about a post that I made on the Ethical Society of St. Louis's Facebook page, and I have her permission to share this exchange. I posted some quote art that read, "Even if we disagree about everything, we can still be kind to each other." And Jenny screenshot the quote and sent it to me in a message. And first she asked me if I posted it. She seemed a little surprised. And then she said, "I find it very hard to be kind to some people based on our disagreements. LOL. And I replied, "Me too, but I strive to live that value." And she said, "But I think that might be mainly because they are so harsh and mean to others." I advised her to show them kindness. "You can be kind with a spine," I said. And Jenny wrote, "I try." And I thought, don't we all? It's the best we can do. And Jenny isn't the only one who struggled with this post. Someone replied to the post on Facebook, "I will not be kind to fascists, racists, neo-Nazis, transphobes, Islamophobes, bigots, or any other person of that ilk. They don't deserve any kindness, period, full stop." Another person replied on Twitter, "No, not if the matter of disagreement is about carelessness and willful ignorance of the opposing side." Even though I disagree with these comments, they are totally relatable. And I do not judge the people making them. Not at all. I get it. I can empathize. I too question my kindness. I just land on the other side of the coin. I still feel every person deserves to be treated fairly and kindly. I still feel like I can learn from everyone. I still strive to live my values. Are there times when I fall short? Absolutely. I learn from those moments and I strive to do better next time. Having a big heart full of love for myself and others does help when I'm trying to remain grounded in kindness. Still, I have to practice being kind every single day. It does take effort. Not only with others, but even with myself. And for some reason, it's easier for me to be kind to others than for me to be kind to me. My self-talk can be extremely negative at times, especially when I make a mistake or fall short of my values, things that occur almost daily. But when that happens, I gather my kindness. I take some deep breaths, and I remember that I am human. And I remember that I love myself, and I deserve the same kindness from myself that I afford others. I also assume the best in myself, and that helps too. As humanists, even though we, for the most part, embrace some core values, we also decide our values individually. We're free to develop our own moral codes through careful thought and consideration. Of course, I will not share all of the same values with everyone else, not even with all other humanists. And even if I do, I may not express those values in the same ways as others. We should be honest about that. There is a strength in the diversity of thought and opinion. We need clear definitions of what our values mean because it's dishonest to project an agreement that doesn't exist. The values that inform my ethical actions and behaviors include treating others well, being open-minded, and bringing out the best in others. But that doesn't mean I have to agree with them. Yes, I try to be brave in defense of my values, but the last thing I want to be is vindictive. Even if I dislike you, I still care about you. I care about your safety and your well-being. But don't get me wrong. While I do try to be accepting of all people, I am not accepting of all behaviors nor ideas. Still, I can speak out against atrocities and bigotry with kindness in my heart. I think that's leading by example. One way of doing so is to go after the bad idea or action and not attack the individual personally. It breaks my heart to see people with which I agree belittling someone with which they disagree by calling them names, insulting their appearance, or making fun of their disabilities. This not only weakens the argument, but it also emboldens the people on the other side of the issues. And as naive as it may sound, we are all truly in this together. As one of your guiding principles states, we are never isolated from human society, and the effects of our actions always have an impact. When we are unkind to others, we have given up on them. We leave them behind, and we need them because the stability and health of the world community depends on the cooperation of all people for peace and justice. I am not saying we should hide our feelings or be kind for the sake of civility. Negative feelings should not be ignored or repressed. Relationships are dishonest when people pretend there is an agreement where there isn't. I feel we should be honest about these disagreements and bring them to the surface in the hopes of developing a greater understanding and building better, more effective relationships. If we can have these honest discussions centered in kindness, maybe we can find some common ground. And if we can't, we can be respectful and kind. If someone is truly trying to deny someone else's human rights, by all means, let's call them out. Let's stand up for the rights of others with love in our hearts. We can take to the streets in nonviolent protest. We can vote for our humanist values when electing our representatives. We can speak out with kindness. If people are personally mean to us, we can express our discontent and walk away, if that is what it comes to. But we don't have to stoop to their level and be unkind. Victims deserve justice, and incarcerated individuals still deserve kindness. When people harm others, there should be consequences and rehabilitation efforts, but there should be no cruelty. Hatred often cultivates more hate. It is powerful that way. But kindness can foster love and understanding. And kindness is literally defined as the quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate. It is a behavior marked by acts of concern for others, without the expectation of praise or reward. To be kind speaks to our non-theistic values, and it is imperative that our non-theistic voices be heard and not drowned out by bullies or dismissed as the angry rhetoric of the radical left. Bullies don't deserve a seat at the table. We can tell them to leave in kindness, in the kindest way possible, but before we do, let's try to reach them first. Now, you can basically boil these approaches to interrupting bias and having difficult conversations into two ways, two approaches. We can call people in and we can call people out. And I argue that both can be done with love and respect. We call people out when we need to let someone know that their words or actions are unacceptable and they'll not be tolerated, they're harmful. When we need to interrupt in order to prevent further harm. When we likely, calling people out is hard and it's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. It allows us to hit the pause button and break the momentum of the bad idea or bigoted approach. We can call people in. We call people in when there's an opportunity to explore deeper, to make meaning together, and to find a mutual sense of understanding across our differences. When we are seeking to understand or learn more. When we want to help imagine different perspectives, possibilities, and outcomes. Calling people in provides for a multiple perspectives and encourages a shift in our thinking. It's focused on reflection and not on reaction. Now, sometimes when we call people out, we're standing up for ourselves, and sometimes we're standing up for others. And it is a very powerful thing for someone who's being targeted by oppression or oppressed to hear these words from the mouth of an ally. You can be firm, and again, you can be kind with a spine. So these are some ways that you can call people out. If someone hurts your feelings, says something harmful, you can say, wow, ouch, nope. I need you to stop right there. That word comment is really offensive. Please be mindful, pick a different word. Someone says something you don't agree with. I need to push back against that. I disagree. I don't see it that way. Okay, I'm having a strong reaction that I need to let you know why. Or someone tells a racist or bigoted joke. I don't find that funny. Why do you think it's funny? I wonder if you've considered the impact of your words. Maybe you want to think this one through a bit and speak to it later. I need you to know how your comment just landed on me. Or we can profess our values. That's not our culture here. Those aren't our values. Sometimes people want to derail a constructive conversation and they might start talking about something else, and you can call them out. Is this topic, is the topic we're discussing relevant to your point? If so, how? Or it sounded like you just said this. Is that what you really meant? I'm really big on repeating so that I make sure that I understand. Repetition's how we learn. So I might not have heard what you just said, and I like to repeat it back to you to make sure I heard you correctly. Or I feel obligated as your friend to tell you that your comment wasn't okay, and this is why. And then maybe people are making assumptions. Sounds like you're making some assumptions that we need to unpack a bit. Maybe you're assuming some things that aren't correct. Or you may not realize this, but you're talking about me and my identity markers. So I want to weigh in. Or like I said, if someone is bullying and being unkind, leave. I need to leave the room if the conversation is going to continue down this road. But sometimes we want to call people in. How can we call out the behavior while calling in the person? How can we be accepting of all people, but not all behaviors? And I think the best way is to ask questions. So I'm curious, what was your intention when you said that? How might the impact of your words or actions differ from your intent? What sort of impact do you think your decision, comment, action might have on others? How might someone else see this differently? Is it possible that someone might misinterpret your words or actions? How might your own comfort level, assumptions, expectations, experiences be influencing your beliefs, your decisions, and the process? How is blank different from blank? What's the connection? What criteria are you using to measure or assess the situation? How did you come to this decision? What would have to change in order for you to see things differently? What do you assume to be true about this topic? Why is this the best way to proceed? What other approaches have you considered? What is making you the most fearful, nervous, uncomfortable, or worried? As a facilitator, I ask that question a lot. With the reading or the podcast or whatever the materials we're discussing, what made you most uncomfortable? Why do you think that's the case? Why do you believe that to be true? Why do you think others have or haven't moved in that direction, or disagree or agree with you? How do you know your approach is working? Why did the result or response cause a problem for you? Or what would other stakeholders say, think, feel? And in your opinion, what is the best case scenario? Again, these are all questions. When we're calling people in, we're asking questions, we're listening to understand. We want to develop a more meaningful conversation and understand their perspective. And I know it may feel like we will never reach some people, those who are so full of hate and misunderstanding that it makes our heads spin. But I find these poetic words from Ray Bradbury give me hope for my kindness. And he wrote in Fahrenheit 451, "We cannot tell the precise moment when friendship is formed. As in filling a vessel drop by drop, there is at last a drop which makes it run over. So in a series of kindnesses, there is at last one which makes the heart run over." I believe if we listen to one another and treat each other with dignity and respect, we can find a way to actually learn from everyone, whether we're calling them out or calling them in, and ultimately make the world a better and more just place. Even when we're angry, even when we're hurt, there is too much at stake for us to give in to the pain and lash out. When people are acting in an unkind way, I try to put them to shame by being kind. This doesn't mean giving in, and it doesn't require a compromise. It simply means being considerate and coming from a place of love for others. And that love, I want to make it explicitly clear, it doesn't have to be for the bully or the oppressor. For me, I draw on my love of the harmed, the voiceless, and the oppressed. And this love gives me courage. For me, kindness is everything because it grounds us in love and relationship. Regardless of what we believe, we can come together in kindness to solve some, if not all, of the pressing problems we face. We can unite to further compassion and lessen suffering. We can be human together. And what we as ethical humanists truly believe is that what we believe matters much less than how we treat one another. I'll say that again. What we believe matters much less than how we treat each other. Sue Monk Kidd wrote in the Book of Longings, "Anger is effortless. Kindness is hard. Try to exert yourself." My hope for us is that we find the strength to be kind to ourselves and to others, because without this kindness, it becomes even more challenging to live our values and transform our world. Thank you for spending this time with me, and I look forward to answering your questions and further discussing this topic.
So splendid, Louise. Thank you so much. What a lot to think about. Am I frozen?
No.
No? Thank you so much. That's the closing of your talk. The recording is now off, and we'll proceed with a song from Dupre and Barry. And then we're going to come back and have a chat with you. And let's all put our thinking caps on and see if there aren't a couple of examples of calling in